Agent Nash. I'm also a junior here at Michigan State University, and I'm also majoring in animal science.
I'm Tatiana Thomas. I'm a senior at Michigan State University, also majoring in animal science. We're here, like Chelsea said, from MSU Animal Welfare Club to teach you about clicker training, simplifying the science of positive reinforcement. Thank you so much to the MSU Science Festival for having us today. So clicker training relies heavily on operant conditioning. Clicker training, which was developed by Karen Pryor, uses operant conditioning coined by B.F. Skinner, which describes behavior controlled by its consequences. Using potty training a dog as an example, if a dog gives the undesired behavior of pooping outside, the desired behavior of pooping outside, we are going to reinforce that to increase the incidence of that behavior. If the dog gives that undesired behavior of pooping inside, we are going to punish that behavior to decrease its incidence. It's important to remember that it's only reinforcement or punishment if the animal perceives it that way, and it does, in fact, do the desired consequence to the behavior. To give some examples, if you give an animal a cue, it responds with the behavior, and you can give two types of consequences. One will be positive consequences in which you're adding a stimulus, and the other would be negative consequences in which you are removing a stimulus. If the animal displays desired behavior, you're going to reinforce it by either using that positive reinforcement, R plus, and giving a reward, or using negative reinforcement, R minus, to remove a punishment. If the animal gives undesired behavior, you are going to punish it. You can either positively punish, P plus, giving a punishment, or you can negatively punish, P minus, removing a reward. Now, positive does not always mean good. If you are giving a positive punishment, you're doing something the animal doesn't like. For example, whipping a horse, which we would not want to do. Negative does not always mean bad either. In that same situation, when you're reinforcing the behavior, you're going to remove that pressure. What's really important to remember is that positive punishment is always accompanied by negative reinforcement when the animal gives a desired behavior, and positive reinforcement is always accompanied by negative punishment when the animal gives undesired behaviors.
So for clicker training specifically, we're going to be using a combination of positive reinforcement and negative punishment. So in a situation where, let's say I ask a horse to bow, if the horse shows that behavior and it bows, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use positive reinforcement. In this case, I'll give a click to the clicker, and then I will dispense a reward to the horse. If the horse doesn't bow and it decides to run away, we're going to display negative punishment. In this case, I'm not going to do a click to the clicker, and I'm not going to give a reward. This has been proven to be less stressful than positive punishment and has been proven by multitudes of studies to be the most effective way of training for animals.
I'm Jocelyn, and this is Stewie, and today we're going to be working on clicker training using the clippers as a target. So we're going to start by putting the clippers in front of him and using the treat to encourage him to touch the clippers, and we'll reward him with the treat whenever he does.
So what is clicker training? Clicker training itself is a time-based reinforcement schedule. What that means is a time marker is made to pinpoint some sort of action, and it is followed by a reinforcer. This reinforcer is to reward the animal for that desired behavior. An example of this would be if I asked our dog here, Rufus, to sit, and Rufus sat. As soon as Rufus puts his butt to the ground, you're going to give that clicker a click. After that, you're going to dispense immediately a treat to reinforce that click. Let's say Rufus doesn't sit and he decides he's going to lay on the ground instead. We're not going to give a clicker. We're not going to give a treat. It's an undesired behavior. Therefore, we're not going to do anything, and it's fine. We'll just go ahead and we're going to try again.
Sit. Sit.
So why are we choosing a time-based R positive schedule? Well, there's 3 reasons. The first reason is going to be the association. This is extraordinarily important. So association itself is the marker and the reinforcer being linked together by the animal. So the marker itself becomes a reward when the animal makes the association to it, because when it hears the noise, it internalizes it as something good. This association principle then folds in really well to our second aspect of why we want to do a time-based R plus schedule, precision. If you have, let's say, a hyperactive animal and they're giving you 10 plus behaviors, this precision of the marker, or in this case, the clicker, is able to pinpoint the specific behavior that we want this animal to reproduce. So if the animal has made the association between the click and the reinforcer, once it gives the behavior that we are looking for and it hears that click, it will know that it wants to keep doing that behavior. Thirdly, our third most important thing is leadway. Overall, in any training, timing is everything. But the benefit of clicker training is that the click gives us an extra amount of time to be able to dispense the reinforcer to the animal.
Okay, so now that we got some knowledge on how to do clicker training, we will now be focusing on what to do and how to do it. So for step 1, you're going to pick your reward, which is the reinforcer. This means that we will be rewarding the reinforcement of the desired behavior by providing an access to a limited resource. So we will need to be given it the best reward or the best reinforcer. So with this, it'll need to be motivating, which is anticipated and pursued by the individual. It needs to be simple, which is easy and fast to distribute and consume by the animal. It also needs to be rare, which means it is value as the value increases with the task value increases. So for some examples, we can give it kibble, rare meat, raw meat, and different types of treats. For an example, we have this confined horse. One positive reward that we can give it is by being surrounded by other herd of horses, or to give the reward, or the reward can be given as grass. In other cases, we have dogs. Now, their reward might not be treats and anything, but it might be that their favorite toy. So it is important to use whatever. So it is different between individuals. So it is important to use whatever your individual or whatever your pet likes the most and reward it with that, their favorite rewards. Sorry. Going on to step 2, we need to associate the marker and reward. So we need to create a positive reinforcement association, which means that we need to click and immediately follow it with the reward. And this is before the desired behavior is performed. So we click, it hears the click, we reward it. We click, it hears the click, and we reward. So with that being said, we need to be patient and we don't need to force it. This can be used with multiple sections to form the association. New animals might take longer to learn. So new animals might take longer to learn. So also be patient and not to force it, because it can cause fear and stress, and it makes it difficult for them to learn. Some examples of fear could be sound sensitive. So that means that the clicker might be too loud for them. So something that we can do to help that is to dampen the click with a cloth, or to use a soft clicking noise with their mouth. Another case might be that your animal might be deaf. So a good representation is to use visual markers, which means using hand signs or movements instead of clickers. So it's important to use the best, sorry guys, it's important to use whatever is needed for your animal to learn this positive reinforcement, which may be also known as taking charge or charging. For step 3, we will need to train simple tasks first. So one of our favorite tasks to train is target training, and this teaches an animal to touch a specific item, the target, for a click and a reward. For target, so we would lower our hand, the lizard will touch it, we will click, and we will give it the roach, its favorite treat. Yummy. So target training safely trains complex behaviors. It reduces the risk of behavior being offered at the wrong time. Targets act as a cue so animals know what to do. Targets can be used to lure animals into position, and targets should only be visible when in use, because if that animal goes and it touches the target and we're not there to be able to dispense the reward, it can cause that animal to be stressed. So as we see, the rabbit touches the target, if we're not able to use the clicker, it'll become stressed and they won't get their treat. So the target must be gained and retained positive reinforcement association. So we need to click and reward, and it will act as a lure. So we will put our hand, if you see off to the side, the left side, my left side, sorry. We will put our hand up to the bird, it'll see it, it will act, it will touch the target, we will click, and then we will reward it.
At Mitten Misfits Farm Sanctuary, we use clicker training to make animal care safer, more efficient, less stressful, and more enjoyable to improve the welfare of the animals and humans working here.
Hi, my name is Emily Ravers. I'm a volunteer here at Mitten's Misfit Farm Sanctuary. This is Dakota, and we're going to be clicker training her today using this clicker. So the green ball represents our target, and this little clicker button represents the time marker. So whenever she touches it, that's a desired behavior, and we'll click and treat just to charge our target. One more time. Good. All right. Our clicker is all charged, and we're ready to go.
Moving on to step 4, we will be shaping the complex behaviors. So capturing rewards any given desired behavior, and shaping brings behavior closer to the final goal. Shaping chunks simple behaviors to form complex tasks. What this means is that we need to capture a given behavior, which is positively reinforced, until it is offered consistently. Another one is to wait until the behavior is slightly exaggerated to positively reinforce that treat again. 3 is to increase the positive reinforcement frequently, only as the behavior approaches the goal. And 4, so as you see on the left side, we have the dolphins, and it's using the little hula hoops, and it's going through the hula hoops. Real fun. So if your animal gets confused, don't worry. You can always go back to positively reinforce a chunk they are comfortable with and build that slowly from there.
Hi everyone, my name is Malaysia Nash. I am a volunteer here at Mitten's Misfits. Me and Aiden here are going to train you on how to do clicker trainings to lead a goat on a halter.
Aiden has already been acclimated to the use of the halter as a target, so he's not afraid of it, and he knows that it's associated with that positive reinforcement.
The first step is to lure him into the neck hole.
It's important to start with minimal restraint to decrease the chances that he'll become afraid of that target.
The next step is to lure him into the nose hole.
This part can be trickier, so you may need to do a lot more clicking and treating.
And we're just going to be taking this off a couple of times and putting it back on.
That's going to acclimate him to the process and let him know it's not permanent and make it feel a little bit more like a game and make him feel like he's the one who's in control.
Now that I feel that he's comfortable, we're going to go in and I'm going to train him to lead.
One of my favorite things about clicker training is that you can do it with protected contact. So as you can see, Malaysia started standing outside of the gate. A lot of zoos will use that for animals in which it is illegal to interact without protected contact. For example, you may have lots of hoof stock, like zebras and giraffes. You can use this to do hoof trims for them, for example. If you've ever seen how giraffes are trained to put their hooves on a block to get trimmed, that is the only way that we can actually do that essential husbandry skill for them in captivity, because for safety reasons, we are not allowed to go into their pens, and sedating them is dangerous. So now that your animal has that behavior conditioned and it no longer needs the positive reinforcement, you can extinguish the click. So you know you're ready to extinguish that click and that the behavior is conditioned because it's reliably given as a response to the cue in many distracting scenarios. So for example, if you were teaching that dog from earlier to sit, you would want to make sure not only that the dog will sit in your home, but in your friend's home, at the dog park, at the grocery store, wherever you need him to sit. Then you can extinguish the click and the treat. What's important to remember is not to extinguish the treat without extinguishing the click. The click needs to have that treat after it. So that intermittent, even if the behavior is conditioned, intermittent positive reinforcement can help to maintain it. So you'll want to keep that clicking and treating up every once in a while. Those training sessions should always be short, frequent, and fun. Keep it sweet. If you or the animal are stressed, like Malaysia was saying earlier, you can take a break and come back to it. It's better to have a short bad session than a long bad session. In that positive reinforcement, like I said, the rewards always follow the markers after the desired behavior. That means your click is not a cue and you cannot use your clicker to get your animal to come to you, only after they come to you. So if your mouse scores a basket, you can give them a click and a treat. The big picture is that positive reinforcement training improves welfare, safety, and human-animal interactions. And we wanted to give special thanks to Emily Rabbers, Anna Covert, and Hope Palm for teaching Dakota the horse the hoof block behavior that I was describing earlier. As you can see, I am further shaping the behavior with the target that Emily provided. In the dog video that we had Jenna earlier. So, thank you all so much. Just to reiterate, I am Tatiana Thomas.
I'm Savannah Thompson.
And I'm Malaysia Nash. Thank you.
Yeah, we're from MSU Animal Welfare Club. We are newly forming the Collegiate Association of Animal Welfare, and we can now take any questions or concerns from the audience or any ideas you guys have.
Well, thank you so much, Tatiana, Savannah, and Malaysia for joining us today for the MSU Science Festival. I do see that we're out of time, and I do not see anything in the comments over here on Facebook. Also, if anyone has any questions, you can also direct it to msuawc@gmail.com, and you can also like and follow them at the social medias that they just put over there on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you everyone so much for joining us again. We will have more presentations for MSU Science Festival for the rest of April, so please tune in for the rest of the days. Thank you again.
Thank you for having us, Chelsea, and the MSU Science Festival.
Bye.